All I can say is, wow. I mean, this is just amazing. This is going to sound like false humility, but I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be standing here tonight, dressed up like this, speaking to you. Just never entered my mind. I'd like to thank Rob, Kevin, Jack Kaplansky, the Pitt and Quarry staff, and all the former inductees into the Hall of Fame for making this night possible. While I'm in the thankful mode, there are two people in this room, or families in this room, that I'd like to thank. When Bluegrass Materials bought our small Merrill Materials quarry, John's son, Ted, was the reason behind that. He had a guy in Maryland who was running his operations named Ronnie Walker. Day after the settlement, I should have known, but I walked into the office, and there was Ronnie Walker sitting at my desk. I looked, and Ronnie said, "Dave, you're the executive of Maryland Materials Incorporated." I said, "Yes." He said, "I don't need an executive vice president, but I got a place for you. If you're willing to take it on, I'll give you the job as Director of Public Affairs for all of our quarries in the state of Maryland." I thank your son, John, for allowing that opportunity to do so. And Ward, when Mark Marietta took over, I wrote a letter to Ward saying that he really bought a well-run operation. And oh, by the way, the guy that was doing his public relations work was doing a hell of a job. He called me down, we had lunch, and to this day, I'm still working for Mark Materials, preaching the quarries of mining. And Ward, for that, I thank you very much. You know, my final thanks has to go to my beautiful bride of over 40 years. Susan not only has loved me, but believed in me, and I truly did marry my best friend. She also grounds me with a unique sense of humor. When Kevin called me to tell me that I was the recipient of this year's award, it was around lunchtime. I had a nice 20-minute conversation with Kevin, got off the phone, excited, ran back to the kitchen and said, "Did you hear?" She said, "Yeah, I know. You've now been inducted in the Hall of Fame, but you still spill potato chips all over the floor." You know, I come from this industry from a little bit different perspective than all of you. I was a teacher. I taught English, coached 3 sports, and that teaching background colors everything I do. I look at life as lessons learned and lessons taught, and it's not unusual. It's not you would think that would happen. My mother was a teacher. My father desperately wanted to be a civil engineer, but gave up to take care of a family and never went back to school. But he preached education all the time. At dinner tables, as we discussed the problems of the world, the answer was always the same. Education could solve all the problems of the world. I still believe that. I also believe that we're not doing a very good job educating, but that's a different conversation for a different time. I have 3 siblings who got the educational message, though. My brother's a respected attorney in Cecil County, where Maryland Materials is located. My sister heads up the Wilmer Eye Clinic, a division of Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. And my other sister is a well-respected teacher of special needs people, special needs children. And then there's me. I fell in this quite by accident. I was looking for a job while teaching school, and Maryland Materials had an intern program. Funny how I should get to be the intern. I spent the summer there and quickly fell in love with this industry and the people that populate it. I went back and taught the following year, but at that time I went back to Maryland Materials and never looked back. I learned a lot of lessons. I was fortunate in that my father was a chief executive officer of the company. He taught me so many lessons, but two of them still stand with me today. First, be a person of integrity. Be truthful, be honest, be loyal, and treat every individual, as EJ said, treat every individual as you would expect to be treated. The second lesson that I kind of gleaned from him over the years was a wonderful sense of optimism. My father automatically believed that good things were going to happen, and they did because of his attitude. And so my real education begins. You know, there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. As I got into this industry, I was determined to learn everything I could about it, and boy, did the teachers appear. There were teachers in management, there were teachers in marketing, there were teachers in operation, but I'm going to name three specific teachers who were instrumental in becoming the person I am today. From Bernie Grove, Hall of Fame class of 2014, I learned to get involved. I can remember the first time I met Bernie. I walked into a Maryland Aggregates Association. He broke himself away from a conversation he was having, walked over to me, and he said, "Dave Thomey, I'm Bernie Grove. Get involved." And I did. Give you an example, we have what we call a legislative career day, or legislative luncheon in Annapolis, where we would bring our state legislators in. As companies, we were all asked to bring a legislator, our legislator. Bernie not only brought his legislator, but he had 35 of his fellow GenStar employees bring their legislators there too. It wasn't there for any purpose other than to build a relationship. So when the time came when we needed to address an issue, they would know who we were, and it worked. Our small industry and our small state made a tremendous impact. And it all because Bernie got involved. From Kim Snyder, class of 2017, I learned to listen. We at Martin Marietta today have what we call CLCs, Community Liaison Committees, where we meet with neighbors surrounding the quarries 3 or 4 times a year, where we talk about past practices, we talk about future endeavors, and then we sit back and we listen. And I learned that from Kim. He invited me to one of his first CLCs when he was working at GenStar, and we're following that same format today. You know, the proof is in the pudding. In the 30 or so years we were involved at Maryland Materials, we went through 4 or 5 major expansions, and we never had a complaint. We were never denied. Nobody ever came to the public hearings. They did not do so because we had already told them what we were going to do and what impact, either positive or negative, it was going to have on them. And then we sit back and listen to their concerns. And from my dear friend Paul Malott, inaugural class of 2013, I learned to attack each day with infectious enthusiasm. You know, we live a pretty good life, all of us. And in our positions, we get a chance to get up every morning and make the world a different place, a better place for at least one individual. We can do that. Each one of us can do that every day. And the amazing thing about it is if we do it with Paul's enthusiasm, it'll work. And if we don't do it today, we get a chance to do it tomorrow. That's the wonderful thing about life and the industry that we're in. Paul's enthusiasm is legendary, and I consider him a dear, dear friend. In closing, as the film said, I do a lot of public speaking, and I end every talk that I'm talking with, if you forget everything or anything that I've said, I'd like you to remember 2 things. First and foremost, life as you know it does not exist without our product. And then I say, think about it. The basement of your home, your driveway, your sidewalk, curb and gutter. This building we're here, building across the street, none of them exist without our product. And if somebody says to me, well, you know, farming's more important, I said, farming couldn't happen without the minerals that go into the equipment and our product. Life as you know it doesn't exist without our product. Second thing I tell them is we, at the local level, want to work with each one of you to make our small world just a better place. We can't do anything about what's happening in the Ukraine or Washington, D.C., or our state capital of Annapolis, or even county government. We're working on a day-to-day basis with you. We can make our life a little bit better. So if we get involved, if we listen, and we attack this life with infectious enthusiasm, we can not only make our life a little bit better, we can indeed change the world. Stay terrific. Thank you very, very much.